The Oklahoma State Cowboys have added another wide receiver to your already elite offense, and look who's with me.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, what is up, guys? Welcome back in. Welcome. Come on in. This is Locked On Oklahoma State. I'm here with Cody Stovall, the host of Locked On Oklahoma State, joining in. He's still figuring some things out on the medical end, but he said he was restless and wanted to join so that we could talk a little bit of Oklahoma State football, which ironically may be one of the very last portal ads, if not the last portal ad you guys have as the window closes. I do foresee you guys picking up some more along the way, but number 50. So here we go. You guys have added 50 guys. Before we get there, let's talk about the sponsor. This one is going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. And right now with FanDuel, we like the old Mustang that I've come up with. $5 is going to make you come holla. But on this one, we're talking about FanDuel being a profit booster. And what they like to do is have you come to the website, play your college football playoff heart out, as there's one game left and you can get those college football playoff profit boosts every game day. And thanks for making Locked On Oklahoma State your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast, where we talk about your team, the Pokes, every single day.
That's right.
I'm here with Cody. What's up, man? How's life treating you?
Well, I mean, life is lifing, and I'm alive, right? That is typically half the battle. So for that, I am thankful. And I greatly appreciate you giving me a little bit of time here, because it's been like, licking my wounds watching Oklahoma State have the number one transfer portal in America and not being able to talk about it. I can talk to nurses and doctors all day, every day about it, but they don't give 13 craps. So I'm glad that I get to have a microphone and get to be with you to talk to some other people that might give a crap today.
People are excited to see you in here, man. And why wouldn't they be? You're one of the very most charismatic and kindest and nicest people that I know. And I was more than happy to step in and do this for you. And I mean, it's not like it doesn't benefit me to do it as well. It lets me get to know all the great people in Stillwater. And I've had a great time doing that. I feel like it's going to be weird, me knowing two teams inside and out coming up to this season. Like I'll really know my Oklahoma State stuff. Yeah. That's going to be fun. I can't imagine what Drake has to do now that I've realized. I don't know if he goes this deep on every team, but pretty deep. And so it's fun. And you guys have added a new one here, man. Let's not bury the lead, because this is a talented wide receiver that's coming in Rodney Harris. Yeah. This is a 6'2", 213-pound guy. I saw him up close and personal. West Virginia lost to Ohio in a weird game on the road this year. Ohio had an elite quarterback who I'll be surprised if he's not quartered by everybody. The dude can play. And this is a guy that was productive for them. 419 yards, 30 catches. That's a number 2, number 3 type receiver with a couple touchdowns, averages over 13 yards a catch. Right. He's long. He absolutely dominated Miami of Ohio, Eastern Michigan. He had a good game against ULV in the Scooters Coffee Bowl. And he's going to try to, kind of pay off of that here as he comes into Stillwater. Real quick, redshirt freshman year, didn't play. Last year he played in 8 games. This year he was a full-time starter where he increased his role. I mean, if he stays on this projection track, Cody, this is another guy that you add into an already elite offense in Stillwater.
Yeah, I think whenever you look at the film, all right, so my Oklahoma State people out here are going to appreciate this one. We have a comp, but the comp is going to be Rashad Owens. Whenever you look at the film, they have very comparable bodies. They're very good about positioning, right? I think you can liken it to somebody, going up for a rebound in basketball and how you can utilize your body to shield off a defender, right? Whenever you're on a 9 route, a go ball, you don't want to show your hands till the very, very end kind of thing. He does that kind of stuff very, very well. So if you have a big body, 6'2", 215-pound wide receiver that has that ability to wall off the defender and utilize your body in a red zone scenario, we absolutely need that, right? Drew Mestemaker is going to have some of those 50-50 ball guys. I've been preaching to the choir for a couple of years. We haven't had a true 50-50 ball specialist since Leon Johnson. And we unfortunately only got to see Leon Johnson for a handful of games at the latter half of the season. So I think this is the first 50-50 ball specialist that we've been able to bring in. especially with this new staff. So yeah, I'm very excited about what this player brings over, and kudos to you, because yeah, you did. You text me during that Ohio game and you said, "Are you watching this?" And I said, "No, should I?" And you said, "Yes, you probably should be, because Ohio has got some sneaky good players." And sure enough, this is one of the players that popped on. Whenever you look at Navarro's film, a lot of his highlights are him throwing it up to Harris, and Harris having the ability to not always run the most crisp routes. He's not going to beat press man every time down the field, but he's going to position himself to win the battle in those 50-50 scenarios, and we didn't have that. For the last 2 years, we haven't had that.
You think there'll be a little bit of an adjustment? You go from a Parker Navarro type, who is more of a Spencer Sanders type, right? A guy that's going to run around, make plays. Drew Mestemaker, very on schedule, very, very tight with it. Timing is important with him. Yeah. This is a guy, in Parker Navarro, that you don't know where he's going to end up by the time the play's over. And there is something to that backyard style. There is a little bit of an adjustment going to a more on schedule type offense.
No, I completely agree. And I think,
I don't know what this means, but
if we would have kept a Haas Haney, I think that would be an applicable conversation. But Drew Mestemaker, dude, he is a precision with that football. It's an instrument that he takes into surgery, and I think that's the biggest difference. There was a thing earlier, I think it was on TikTok or something, and it was talking about why should quarterbacks get credit for the yards after the completed catch. And it's because a good quarterback that operates with surgical precision can put the ball in places that benefits the wide receivers. A good quarterback can throw in windows that can keep the wide receiver from getting injured, or to put the wide receiver in a position to take off after the catch. And I think Drew Mestemaker is that. So I think that the fact that he can put the ball in places that not very many people can, it's going to be a massive benefit for all of the wide receiver core, but especially somebody that is an assassin at going up and getting the ball in the corner of the end zone.
So obviously I did my breakdown. I had 3 guys to look at for West Virginia today. West Virginia went in today with LSU, Oregon, and another guy from Kent State, but I was able to get to this film late, which is why we're doing this a little bit later. I think the things I like about this guy is, he's on a steady projection path. Like I said, as a receiver, as a player, red shirt, 8 games, full-time starter. What will he do next? He could even be better. He's got the potential to do that. I think he's been physical and durable over his time. He's never missed a game. This is a thick body receiver who plays through contact. I think he's a deep ball threat. He's had 2 separate 50-plus yard games this past year. So he's got a little bit of vertical juice to his game. And, man, those reliable hands. He, guys that are on him sticky coverage-wise, he can make catches over top of them. And lastly, you look at this dude in high school, 75 balls, 1,500 yards, and 20 touchdowns. That's a lot of production. So this guy this is his old hat to him, playing receiver at this point. And, I think this is a guy that could come in. Obviously, you're just loaded in the receiver room right now, obviously, with who you brought in with Bowick, with Young, now with this guy in Barnes. I mean, this is an elite offense coming up. It's not the only concern I would have potentially would be the O-line, if you could even say there was a weakness. Because we've got to transfer a lot of those guys up. But outside of that, I mean, in my opinion, just from my personal opinion, it's easier to transfer up skill guys than it is the trenches. So, from an evaluation standpoint, you know what I mean? So whether they will or not, I think they will, because they played at a very high level in the American. Like guys West Virginia's gotten in the past have been like Jacksonville State in the Sun Belt, where it's just like in my opinion, a step below the American. So it's like, will they make that jump? I don't know. The American is pretty damn close. So,
well, offensive line is one of those few positions. It's like the old dog, new tricks kind of scenario, where it's like offensive line is the one position that still yet to this day, the 5th-year, 6th-year guys are still the better options when it comes to offensive linemen. There's not a ton of redshirt or freshmen, true freshmen, that are ready to contribute in a massive amount on the offensive line still. So, that's one position that getting in the portal probably makes you feel more in control of your future than other spots.
Guys, appreciate all the comments, for Cody and for myself. absolutely I'll make cameos. I come on Cody's show quite often anyways. But we'll probably try to make it more often if we can. And I do appreciate all the kind comments, but honestly, Cody and I become close friends throughout this. We've been there for each other. He's been there for me through some trying times, not necessarily the same physical things, but some things that I've stuck my foot in it a couple times. And he's been there to be there for me. So it was truly nothing for me to just step in and do this. But I feel like it's overblown, really. Like I'm just helping out. You know what I mean? But
No. Respectfully, I appreciate you trying to take the humble road, but statistically speaking, my show has not had any drop off whatsoever. So obviously, you're doing a remarkable job because the subscribers and everything is going up as well. That's a testament to how much you're putting into both universities. So I'm glad that I can see that the fan base that has been regulators, the everydayers on this show, they're very appreciative of what you're providing, and I know I darn sure am too, buddy.
That's why Zach's such a good college manager too, because he's from the very beginning we've been lumped together as two similar type guys, like wild cards, not classically trained journalists. Yeah. We kind of shoot off at the mouth and say things that maybe other people wouldn't say. Yeah. We're probably more of the country bumpkin types as well that have that southern drawl. There's a lot to us that are very similar, but especially that we have very little filter apiece. So I think that's a part of it as well that Zach saw and was like, yeah, that'll probably work. And so to Zach's credit, he let it happen.
Well, I think, if you're passionate about something and you have the ability to articulate information, at least to make it somewhat entertaining, I think that's what all of this is about. I think at the end of the day, we're all looking for more exposure for our universities so we can be more competitive in NIL, so we can have top 25 conversations in almost every single sport. And I think that's, that's something that we're all striving for. And I'm glad that the Big 12 has a community that can operate like this.
Yeah.
I think that there's some places that couldn't have somebody fill in for a couple different weeks now and be hitting home runs day after day after day after day on multiple channels, bro. It's been impressive. It's been impressive.
Right.
I'm a fan.
We'll go to break on that note. We got to ask Cody some questions, man. Like, obviously, we're happy this receiver's come in, and Rodney Harris is a great player, but we've got to get to more than Rodney Harris. I mean,
I like it.
Hell, we haven't even had his response to Mestamaker or anything yet. So I'm going to ask Cody about 5 guys. I had him to get a list of 5 guys together that you guys have brought in that he feels like is going to make a difference. And I told him, you don't have to mention the big 3, but you can. We'll talk about it next. And, of course, we're talking about our friends at FanDuel on this one, guys. And the reason for that is it's pretty simple. College football playoff is here. We got 1 game left, and FanDuel is giving all customers even more ways to get on the action every single game of the playoffs, because right now, every college football playoff game day, you get that profit boost. It's waiting for you right in the app. And here's what I love about that. You get to use the profit boost on the bets you already feel good about. Ride with the favorite when you think a team controls the matchup. You can take a shot on the underdog if you feel an upset coming, or just build that parlay around the moments and the players you think decide the game. It's pretty simple, right? Well, then you just apply the profit boost and go after your bigger winnings. When you win, FanDuel pays it out instantly. You don't have to wait 24, 50, 70 hours like some places want you to do. It's pretty good, and it's perfect for playoff football, fast-paced stuff. FanDuel is the best place to get in the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boost every game day. And, of course, in segment 2, I always crack a do, and I'm going to crack a do to you, Cody, as we were glad to have you back here, man. I've been dying to ask you this. Obviously, I was talking to somebody about this, like they were asking me about you. I'm like, well, I've tried not to bother him, just give him a space. I haven't even asked you about the portal, really. So this will be new for me to hear too. Let me get your thoughts on this. You've added 51 players now, and it's a large pool. It's a large class of guys.
Yeah.
I had Torgerson on for an interview. He's one of those guys that, from Portland State that's coming in, that's a projection. You don't know how it's going to work out, but he's got the size and ability. And then you've got guys like Mestamaker that are almost can't miss. So what are your thoughts on this overall portal class and the money being spent on it the investment being made and some guys.
Well, the investment being made is absolutely massive, right? Because there was a lot of conversations being had about how, well, Oklahoma State is going to have more donors step up to the plate. They were just reluctant to do so under Mike Gundy because Mike Gundy was unwilling to do X, Y, or Z, right? And it's one thing to have that a presentation. It's another thing to see it physically, tangibly being put into place. And so it's a money where the mouth is conversation that's currently happening in Stillwater. So from that perspective, yeah, it's hard not to be absolutely over the moon excited about this, and to hear that we have some other donors that have stepped up. It's not just your status quo like Ross McKnight or Chad Clays. You got some other individuals like Mr. Sosa that has stepped up, and I think that's a testament to what Mike Gundy did build. Right, we can call a spade a spade. Mike Gundy built this thing to a level that Eric Morris and company knew that they could come to Oklahoma State and turn this thing around almost instantaneously. I believe that is the idea, right? But why else would you bring in a bunch of players from a 12-win team? It's to have a readily available system that can be successful right away. And I do think that they were able to accomplish that. As it pertains to the player side of the things, with so many players, I feel like a 5 is not even really fair, okay? Just like it's also not fair to mention, of course, Drew Mestamaker, a can't-miss style of product. Caleb Hawkins, absolute can't-miss style of product. You could even throw in Miles Coleman, a slot receiver. You could throw in Wyatt Young, a 1,300-yard wide receiver. There's so many options that came over from North Texas that I felt like those were just too easy. So I'm going to throw in like 6 here. One of those has got to be Jacob Sexton. How do you not get excited about an Oklahoma dude that you had a chance on at one point in time? For whatever reason, it didn't work out, and he decided to go to Oklahoma, and then he has a lot of success.
Did you like my title for that show, by the way?
Some injuries. Come again?
Did you like my title for that show on that one when he committed?
SEC, thank you. Yes.
Thanks, little brother Sooners.
Yeah. Yeah. But whenever you have somebody coming in at 6'6", 330 pounds that had a lot of success before an injury, and it's an Oklahoma product, it's hard not to get insanely excited about that individual. And I think when you look even beyond that, right, we talked about the tight end position not necessarily being something that was utilized enough at North Texas. It dang sure wasn't something that was utilized enough at Oklahoma State. So getting a top-notch tight end almost felt like it was going to be, I don't want to say a waste of talent, because you don't go after a top-tier tight end unless you plan on using him, would be my guess.
Donovan Green's a monster, man.
Right, and so I do firmly believe that Donovan Green, coming in at 6'4", 265 or 55 pounds, is somebody that Oklahoma State plans on utilizing, which we haven't seen the tight end position utilized properly in so damn long. I don't even know if we entirely know what it feels like anymore to see a tight end be productive. I think Dallas Winter Johnson, how do you not get excited about a 6'5", 230-pound linebacker that has at least 3 years of eligibility left, that has been incrementally, rising? This is an individual that wasn't really sought after even before he went to Tulane. And now that he's kind of jumped off the map, him having 3 years left at 6'5", 230, if he can live up to the athleticism in any capacity, that's somebody that is going to rotate, is going to be a big piece. How about Isaiah Chisholm? If we're going to stick with linebacker, we're losing Wendell Gregory. You have to go out and get somebody that has massive amounts of production, because you lose that in Wendell Gregory. So you go out and get a 6'1", 235-pound linebacker that has 173 tackles. Is that not the epitome of production to go along with 11 and a half tackles for loss? Now, he only has one
Not to mention Wislowski and his 200 tackles.
Again, it's all about productivity and what you can get out of it. And I think that this is two linebackers that should be able to come in and replicate what we got out of number 5 and what we're going to be missing out of number 4 coming into this next season. I'm almost done. How about James Williams, right? We saw him have success at Nebraska. Then he goes to Florida State, 6'6", so he has that size, 260 pounds walking into the building. He does have 37 tackles between Nebraska and Florida State, 8.5 sacks, 10.5 tackles for loss. And if you're just able to scratch the surface of what it looked like he was going to do it at Nebraska and look like what he was morphing into at Florida State, then we get to be the beneficiaries of that. And he likely could have more than 1 year of eligibility. And then lastly, Chris Barnes, bro, you mentioned him in segment 1. How do you not get excited about somebody who has 14-yard average every time he catches the football? He's a jitterbug. And then the year prior, I think it was 9.5 yards per completion, even though he only played a handful of games.
He's a Presley type. He's a Presley type. He really is.
That's that I was about to say. So if we're going to bring in people like Chisholm to replace a Wendell Gregory, right? Then why would we not look at somebody like Chris Barnes as the replication of what we're going to be missing out of Gavin Freeman? I think this is an absolute perfect recipe, not even considering Miles Coleman. Again, I think you have to take out Mestamaker and Hawkins and Coleman and Young because that's cheating. I think if you go a little bit more in depth, there's several other players that Oklahoma State has brought in that should have us in a position to be at a bowl game. Year one, instantaneously, no questions asked. Now, am I ready to jump on one of those 8, 9, 10 win cliffs? No, I'm not, because I've done that enough already, right? But there's no way you cannot look at this transfer portal and say, yeah, Oklahoma State's a bowl team for sure.
Yeah, you guys have improved to the point now where it's like, okay, I don't know what the defense is going to look like. I truly don't. Like,
yeah.
But you can easily see. I mean, you guys have added pieces over there for sure.
Well, North Texas defense wasn't great, right? We can also, but again, did they have the ability at North Texas to get an Isaiah Chisholm from UCLA? Probably not. Did they have the ability to get a Wendell Gregory caliber dude from a South Carolina? Probably not. Oklahoma State at least carries enough cachet that if Skylar Cassidy can get those caliber of players with his system that he knows fits, then I think we could be onto something. But yeah, the defense, it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot, buddy.
Well, I mean, you've got guys like Ridsby coming in from Texas Tech. You've got Billy Walton coming in from SMU. You know, like you've got guys coming in.
Horn from Tech's good.
Yeah, Horn from Tech is good. You got Keltner from SMU coming in, who's a kicker. But, you know, like I was looking at SMU players and I accidentally said Keltner. That doesn't factor into the defensive line at all. But and then also Clements, right? The defensive lineman. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on my
top of my head.
He was on my top 5 wish list from North Texas.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. So I mean, I think the trenches are ultimately going to decide how good your defense is this year, because I think you've got enough pieces on the back end and in the linebacker room for sure to compete.
Yeah,
your trenches are going to be can a Williams turn into what he's projected to be? Like those kind of things. If James Williams is anything like his 6'6", almost 6'7", 260-pound body look like in a jersey, then you got a monster there, right? And so you guys have definitely got pieces. I think in a year one scenario, glass cannon's not necessarily a bad thing. You can fix the defense next year. You already have a ready-made offense to bring with,
right?
And you can win. We've seen teams like West Virginia. We won, what was it, 11 games with a pretty bad defense one year. So, it can be done, but you've got to score a lot, which is why we put 70 on Clemson in the Orange Bowl.
I mean, dude, we've had, that was Oklahoma State's identity. Same with West Virginia's ever was, West Virginia.
The Big 12.
Able to put up 50.
The Big 12 has become much more physical.
It was the same at Oklahoma State. They might score 55. You might score 45 on any given night. But yeah, you're right. We have that offensive firepower now. So if we can even get an opportunistic defense like Oklahoma State had in 2011, we weren't great. We were good at creating turnovers. And that is something that they did well at North Texas. I know total defense and a lot of, major statistical categories, they were average, like 47th, 63rd, 67th, things of that nature. But if I recall correctly, their turnover margin was top 10 in the country. And their ability to produce turnovers in the first 3 downs was like top 15 in the country. So that opportunistic nature, North Texas is seemingly bringing over. So again, if we can answer the bell and we can give them a talent, a player that they were not able to get all that often at North Texas, then yeah, we could be on to something special because the offense is going to hum.
So another guy, I'm curious, what did you think of Grant Jordan? His film's kind of fun, especially at Yale. He can sling it around a little bit. I think he's actually not a bad backup option for you guys in the first year. Obviously it's against lower competition, and his UMass stuff didn't go well, but he played on an 0-12 team. So I feel like that's not exactly a great barometer.
Listen, if there was a 0-star quarterback named Boomer Sooner Magoo, if Eric Morris says he can play quarterback at Oklahoma State, yeah, he can play quarterback at Oklahoma State and anywhere else in the United States of America. So yeah, I think you're right. There's going to be an adjustment, but again, this is the guru in quarterback evaluation. So if Eric Morris says the dude can play in Stillwater, cool, bring it on.
You know, another really underrated pickup. I'm looking at the list, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but Ayo Adei, who played at North Texas and had 1 billion yards, and then went to James Madison, and then kind of didn't have as many yards. But I mean, in this system, what did he have? Like close to 2,000 yards or something over 2 years or something crazy. Like
North Texas,
North Texas. You know, like you guys have just sprinkled in here. You know, you've got so many really good players that I'm just really interested in, man. Like we didn't, you know, who we didn't talk about? Bowick. We didn't even mention him, did we?
You did talk about him in the beginning. I think again, it's one of those situations where we clearly had
a 4-star rated transfer,
right? And another big body, 6 foot, 6'4" wide receiver that has a lot of production at a very high level against some of the best competition in the country. It's almost like, again, offensively, it's going to be an embarrassment of riches, but we're kind of used to this when it comes to wide receivers and running backs in Stillwater. I know I've said it 33,000 times, but we could have I could coach Oklahoma State and we can still get top wide receivers and running backs. Every other position, it would be an abysmal disaster. But Oklahoma State, again, carries that cachet as a wide receiver or a running back that if you run the system that Oklahoma State is at least somewhat known for, you're going to be productive. And now we're back to that. We're back to the days of Oklahoma State offenses being able to hang with anybody. And that we just talked about it, Bowick, right? It probably should be talked about more, but I don't know, man. I think offensively.
I got one more question for you here, brother. And we're going to break, and then I got one more question for you. We'll be right back.
Hit me.
All right, guys, we are back here. Segment 3, Locked On Oklahoma State. We didn't have an ad read for that one. So what's the ceiling for this offense if you can keep McKinney, Segrin, and Kawecki?
Well, McKinney and Kawecki are gone, and I believe Segrin went to
no, I'm saying this is a what if scenario.
Oh, if you would have been able to
yeah.
Oh, okay.
What would a ceiling have been? You know what I mean? I was thinking about that the other day. If you could have kept Segrin and Kawecki and McKinney,
it would have been huge.
Lord, you know.
Yeah, no, and I think this is why you know what you're doing. Those three, if you add those three to this new roster, I think it does change the complexity of at least a couple more wins. Fairly considerably. But I think so. Ceiling. Right, we've got a couple more days to land a couple more dudes. Yeah, and we also have another, high school signing period where you could pick up a few more. And I do indeed believe that is obviously the plan. But whatever we're going to do this last couple of days, it hopefully is heavily investing in the offensive line because that's the only deficiency that Texas Tech had. So if you watch that game, Texas Tech gave the blueprint for 95% of everything that we should all be doing, but that offensive line was fairly suspect.
It's probably the most tough and competitive market outside of DNs, in my estimation, based on watching West Virginia.
It's the most injured position, right? Offensive linemen, those poor dudes get rolled up on the side more than any other position on the field. Yeah. So again, Jacob Sexton, he missed basically 2 years because of just that happening. So if his knees are good to go at Oklahoma State, could he be an All-American? Sure, but are we banking on his knees holding up at Oklahoma State?
I wouldn't bank on it.
Be. Right.
The upside is massive, but that's why it's called upside.
There you go.
It's a low-risk, high-reward addition in a year where you're going to add 60 guys probably.
So. And we didn't talk about Lepo, right? I think that Michigan State transfer, another big body, 6'7", 320, 30+ pound dude. I think those could be guys that work out, but you're right. If we had Markel Samuel, if you had Noah McKinney, that does change the conversation about at least a couple more W's. But ceiling is probably again, there's going to be an adjustment. This is still the Big 12. It's still going to be the league where, you could win one week and then get absolutely destroyed next week, and it makes no sense. It's the only conference where there's no rhyme or reason to what happens on a weekly basis. So I would say the ceiling is probably 9, right? And I think that's a very successful ceiling.
Absolutely.
But again, I think it's safe to know what we know now with the league and some of the other teams, right? That 7 wins should be the expectation, which is, again, that's kind of crazy after a 1-win season and a 2-win season that you're talking about 6-7 wins. But again, you look at the talent that Oklahoma State has brought in. You look at the fact that the staff is like 80% the same that it's been. So all of the terminology, especially offensively, it's already done. That's like you said, that's a ready-made offense. We don't know what the defense is going to look like, but the offense, they're going to roll in day one, terminology, playbook, everything, and they're already going to know it all.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely interesting, especially when you've got elite players doing it. Like, it's not like you guys are doing it with 3-star transfers. These are 4 and a 5-star transfer. They're all working together. So, I mean, obviously the projections could be off. Maybe they're 4-star guys, but either way, I think you guys obviously are going to be really good on offense next year. And depending on the style you play, I mean, I think it probably depends on your defense, obviously, and how they feel about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, generally speaking, Morris is he a fast-paced tempo kind of guy?
Yes.
So that's probably why you see all the athletic bodies on the defense, right? So that you can be that attacking style, because you're not going to be a hammer on defense this year, at least. So,
well, no, because you're right. The downside to always running a tempo, high-flying offense is it does create a lot of 3-and-outs. And
exactly.
That puts the defense on the field for a long time. So those are the games, if they go sideways, your D is going to be dying.
Well, it's been nice talking with you, man. And thank you guys for all the very kind comments. And, Cody said he's just got a few other things to figure out. He'll be back full time, but no worries. I'll be going close to 7 days a week. I might miss a day here and there, depending on what's going on. Sometimes there's just no news, but for the most part, I'll be here every day. And that way Cody's got it revved up and rolling whenever he comes back 100%. So Cody,
appreciate you, man,
for being on here, man. Any other thoughts about what's going on? Obviously, we talked about the new addition. We talked about the majority of the portal guys. We kind of talked about, the coaching a little bit. We talked about the financial aspect of it too, like the investment that's being made and how important that is. The only other thing I can think of that we haven't touched on, and we can really quick, is what do you think about Gundy and his new gig with ESPN? No thoughts?
I mean,
you don't think he'll be good at it? Or?
Oh, no, I do. I think he'll be great. And I think that if you have an unreserved Mike Gundy, he's going to be good for some of the best quotes to ever come out of ESPN. So I'm excited to see a stress-free version of Mike Gundy. But are you asking me, do I think that this means he doesn't go back into coaching? No, I think he
might wait a year or two, huh?
Yeah, he might wait a year. So I don't think it's permanent. I think Mike Gundy just, anybody
like a Dan Lanning type thing.
Well, anybody that gets to this level of success as Mike Gundy has an ego. You want your coach to have an ego, but I just don't think that Mike Gundy egotistically or anybody in that position is going to be happy with going out that way. I think Mike Gundy could easily go to an Ohio or North Texas or Texas State and absolutely kill it. I mean, heck, it'll be fun to see what Neil Brown does at Texas State because I think he's going to have a ton of success. And I think that's
they have
Mike Gundy
a massive, successful portal class. I can't believe they got Jaheim White. I can't believe it. Zach was talking to me about Auburn was supposed to get him, and he chose to go where the comfort was. Relationships matter. Relationships matter in the portal. And what a lot of people don't realize is these group of 5 teams can pay people now too because of the cap. If the university is willing to, they can afford a couple $100,000 per guy here and there if they really need it. Yeah. It may not be like it is with the other schools, but North Texas is one of the better funded power or group of 6, group of 5, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, I know they've added at least 7 or 8 former West Virginia players. And one of them was at Missouri last year and was a big time loss for us when we lost him. I don't know. I think that they might be pretty good in year one.
Well, all I can say is, that $2.7 or $2.6 million buyout, it was worth every penny. So we hope that North Texas absolutely kills it.
Yeah, keep feeding them up. Keep feeding them up.
And then that's what I was about to say. And if they have another 12-win season, feel free to just send them on up I-35, man.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I like Neil and I want him to be successful, but I also am scared for him to be, because where could he go next? It's a weird feeling.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, guys.
Dude, if Mike Gundy goes somewhere and starts killing it, like, it'll be one of those things. It's like you feel partially happy. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
But it also makes you wonder, like, well, shit. Well, maybe what if things could have been different in a couple different areas? Yeah. So, yeah.
Last thought is I think if they get some guardrails back on this, you'll see Gundy back in immediately, because that's really his biggest thing, right? He just wants to coach ball. And there are guys like that.
Yep.
It's just, I don't understand why you can't hire somebody to handle all that other stuff. But I guess at a place like Oklahoma State, it needed to be him, right? That was doing the extracurricular fundraising because of who he was to the university. I think it mattered, right? And he had alienated so many people along the way. Josh Pate said something about it the other day. I covered it on here the other day. Yeah. Josh Pate said the longer Mike Gundy was there, the money was staying on the sideline, basically. So just an interesting way the things played out in Stillwater, man. But guys, thank you so much for being here. It's been fun. A lot to talk about, obviously, with this, and we'll have an entire off season to get to it. We've still got like 240 or 230 something days left, unfortunately, before our teams kick off again. So we just got to get through 200 something more days of content. We'll be okay. Until then, guys, thanks for making Locked On Oklahoma State your first listen, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team, the Pokes, every single day. If we could ask you for a favor, though, the Everydayer Club is something that I would like to get started for Cody. And while Cody's here, I don't know if he wants it or not, but it's something that they're asking us to talk about. So if you never miss an episode of Locked On Oklahoma State, and you obviously don't, the show's doing really well, it's time to make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club, where you can get ad-free audio. You can get access to a members-only Discord where you can talk with Cody, and I'm assuming other hosts, but I'm not exactly sure about that. And also, it's obviously built for our most loyal fans. So I'll put a link in the chat now for the Everydayer Club.
I have multiple personalities. We can pretend you're talking to multiple hosts if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. The Locked On Podcasts with an S.com/Everydayer Club is the link. Make sure you check it out, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Cody, anything else?
No, God bless. Go Pokes. I appreciate you. I should be back soon.
Regulators, mount up.
Mount up.